Hey there, my name is Alfredo Arriaga and I live in Victorville. Before reading the articles, I did not know much about wildfires. I just knew how devastating they were due to personal experiences. I have not heard or learned anything about how they formed. I do not know about the line and bridge fires of September 2024. However, I do have experience with the Palisades fires of 2025. So let me explain. For some context, before I started taking classes at VVC, I worked for an independent construction company with my dad. We would wake up at 3 in the morning and drive all the way to two cities, and then we would work from 7 to 2, and then we would drive all the way back home, and we would get home around 5 p.m. So one so the two cities we drove to were Palos Verdes and Pacific Palisades. Luckily, I wasn't personally affected by the fires, but the people we worked for were affected by them. A lot of them had to evacuate their homes. There was one home in particular where the company spent 3 years working on it. Yeah, 3 years working on one house, and then the fire just obliterated the whole thing. Yeah, it was pretty sad. Um, Yeah, so, and for a little while, we also did some work in Malibu. I can still remember driving through the streets of Malibu, and everything was just, there were just so many charred buildings. There was a lot of empty space, a lot of damaged infrastructure. There are even people from the military, yeah, the military, um, guiding people and telling them where to drive. And we had to have certain paperwork in order to work in the city. So yeah, it felt kind of dystopian, honestly. Um, I left the construction business in 2026 to start school, so I don't know the fate of the homes. I just hope that the people in those neighborhoods will have a place to live soon. Well, maybe by now they have a place to live. That would be nice, but all I can do is hope and pray for that. Um, I remember like when I started working for these companies, I was always like, dang, it'd be kind of nice to live in a house like that, because that's a really rich neighborhood. They got nice houses and stuff. But after these fires happened, now I'm actually like really glad that I never lived in those areas, and now I appreciate my house more. Like it's a nice house, and I have a house. Like imagine that, like they're rich and suddenly they don't have a house, right? So yeah. Now I do also have some thoughts regarding the articles. Both articles discuss the causes of the fires and how devastating they were. The first article mentioned that climate change is a significant factor for wildfires, which that doesn't surprise me because climate change basically causes all sorts of issues. However, what did surprise me was how many causes of the wildfires are man made. I didn't realize how many invasive species we introduced to the wrong environments and how many trees were being cut down all for the sake of profit. It just sickens me how greedy and reckless some companies are. And the worst part is that the people who suffer for this are just, the normal everyday folk. They pretty much had nothing to do with the deforestation and all that, but the companies get away with it. Whereas, then they contribute to these fires, and then, the everyday people are the ones who suffer for it. In general, a lot of the statistics related to the fires were very surprising and concerning to me. Carbon emissions were significantly higher in 2020 than in the past 3 decades. Many cities were experiencing record high temperatures. Death Valley reached 130 degrees Fahrenheit. It was shocking how much smoke was in the sky. I remember seeing one of the pictures in the article, and like at the it was someone at the it was a picture of people at the beach, and the sky was just gray. Like that was pretty surprising to me. And what caught me off guard the most was that 90% of fires are man-made. The second article focused more on the strong winds, and the winds were really effective. Like they were really strong. They were knocking trees. Yeah, they were so strong they were knocking trees down, and causing damage to infrastructures and all that. Like I didn't realize how much of a of an influence wind was to the fires, you know? Like I didn't think like wind and fire were related, but yeah, apparently the wind pushes the smoke, pushes the fire, and then causes it to spread and makes it worse. So yeah. The second article also had a picture of a desert where a river used to be, but the river had dried up. So imagine that, like an entire river had dried up. Now, no matter how grim things seem, I do try to look on the positive side. I'm grateful that we had firefighters who are willing to be selfless enough to help those in need. And I am glad that people were showing support for. I'm glad people came together as a community to show support. Like, I remember back when this was happening, being on TikTok and social media and seeing posts of people from other states, even other countries, showing their support, showing their sympathy, sending prayers and all that, just hoping that everyone was okay. And I'm glad that people are taking these environmental disasters seriously, and I do believe that we will find a solution before it is too late.